In this part of the lesson we're going to create a 3-stone ring. We'll be using our wire setting, but then creating our own prongs, just so we can see another approach if we are looking for greater control over our settings. So I'll create a new file and a new part, basic closed 3-stone template, and I'll name the part. Okay, so here we are in the part level with our template. I'll start off by bringing in my gemstones. Most often I like to bring in my gemstones and then work from there. In this case I'm going to use an emerald creator to create a custom emerald. Okay, we'll stick with the white diamond. We'll place it on our center gemstone datum. Okay, and we'll play with our parameters. I'm just going to increase it in size. The corner, let's increase that to 1 millimeter. And then the depth, I'm going to make this more chunky. Let's say 3.5 millimeters in depth. And confirm the operation. Yeah, I don't need to tweak. So there's our emerald, and now I'll come in with my side gemstones, place stones command. I'm going to be using triangle cut stones. Okay, we'll have white diamond, the dimension, let's say 5.5, and we'll place it on this datum plane. Okay, we're going to need a rotation in here. Okay, so a 90-degree rotation, and I'll also mirror it straight away. Confirm the operation. Okay, I'm going to redefine that. I think I'll customize my gemstone and make it have less of a depth. Right click, redefine last. Okay, to do this I need to unpick my triangle cut stone and then replace it with the different dimensions. So I'll activate the depth and the width. Length 5.5, width 5.5 as well, and the depth, let's say 2.5 millimeters. Okay, so I just reduced the depth of the stone there. Okay, I'm going to want to modify my template a bit so that I can bring in these triangle cut stones tighter into the emerald cut. So I'm going to right click on my ring size sketch in the template history, show dimensions. Let's change my entity filter into dimension. Okay, first of all I'm going to bring my stones down close to the ring finger, double clicking on the dimension to bring up the input. Let's drop this one down 3.5. Okay, now side stones as well, let's say 3. Okay, now I want to make them tighter together. It's using this dimension, the angular dimension. Double click. I'm going to reduce this. Let's see how this goes. Okay, I'll take it down further. Okay, so we've got the nice tight stones there now. I think one final thing I want to do is also change the orientation, angular orientation of my side stones. I'd like to make this slightly more steep of an angle, and we can do that by coming into the attributes panel, drawing parameters. We have a control angle, and this control angle controls the angle of this datum plane that we placed the triangle cut gemstones on. So I'm going to increase this to a 10, and we can see the effect it has. Okay, it's made them more abrupt of an incline, so I'll confirm it there. We can undo and redo to see the change there. Okay, and now I'll come in with my settings. I'm going to use the wire setting command. I'll be placing the settings on my gemstones but then deleting the prongs. Okay, so let's place the wire setting on our emerald cut. Okay, we need to change it to the emerald, this one here. Okay, and then we can update the parameters. We had an 8 by 6 with 1mm corners. Let's preview that. Seems decent. I'm also going to bring my bezel length below girdle down into the ring finger so that we can trim away. Okay, let's increase that a bit more, 3.75. There we go, we have enough material to trim now. I'm not going to make any changes to the prong parameters since I will be erasing these prongs. Let me just change the gem length bottom, gem width bottom. This changes the size of our lower emerald shape, the bottom emerald shape, and thus increasing or decreasing the taper on our wire setting. So I'm going to increase these slightly. Let's say 0.75 for the corner. Okay, so we've made that less of a taper. Just checking that we have enough material. We do just about. So I'm going to confirm the operation now. Okay, we don't need to tweak. I'm going to use the wire setting again, place it on my triangle cut, pick the triangle, let's update the parameters. We had 5.5 by 5.5. Okay, and we're going to do the same with the bezel length below girdle, increase it. Okay, this will be enough, or maybe not quite. Let's say 3.75. Okay, the angle, I want to change the bezel angle so that we have a similar taper here. We want these to be more aligned with one another. So the bezel angle, let's increase it to a 10. Okay, that might be too much. I'm going to drop it down to an 8. Okay, we have better alignment there, but we will be erasing these prongs, as I said, and creating our own. So I'm going to confirm the operation now. Don't need to tweak, I cancel out of that. Okay, now we can merge our settings. They are components, so we merge them together as a base, turn them into shapes. Okay, and I'm going to erase these prongs straight away. I'm going to control pick them all. Then I can hit delete on the keyboard or press erase. Okay, let's save the work. Save. Okay, now let's create our own prongs. To create our own prongs, I'm going to first of all draw a line, a curve, that we can then sweep a sketch along to create the prong. So I'll create the curve first, coming into the wireframe tab, 2-point line. Okay, I want to create a line down the center of this edge, this corner. So I want the first point to be in the middle of this edge. If I set my entity filter onto edge, I can pick the edge. Okay, we will be able to snap it in at the midpoint. When you see the circle around the point there, that means we have a critical snap, midpoint being one of them. To be sure, we can always use our input options by right clicking, middle, confirm, right click, middle for the bottom. Okay, and there is our curve. Let's change the color to red. There's our first curve, middle click to bring up the 2-point line again. Next curve will be at the corner of this triangle cut setting. Okay, now let's extend our curves up use the trim extend, pick the curve. Okay, let's change our entity filter onto curve. Let's bring it up, let's just say 2 millimeters. Confirm. That will give us plenty of extra material to work with. The same for the other side, the triangle side. Okay, now I'm going to place the datum plane at the top of each curve. Right click, insert datum. The geometry, I'm going to let it snap to the endpoint of our curve. Okay, so it snaps in there. Left click. Now I can orientate my datum plane. Okay, so I want the Y pointing up or into the emerald, and my x-axis, I want it pointing to the right. So let's start off by flipping our x over to the right hand side, which means we need to rotate about the y-axis 180 degrees or half a turn. Okay, now let's move our y into position by rotating about the z-axis. Okay, -45 seems appropriate. I'm going to change my datum format to XY to get rid of that square box. Confirm. Okay, I'm going to middle click, place one on the other curve, let it snap to the top endpoint. Okay, in this one the Y is orientated fine, it's just the X that needs flipping over 180 degrees. Okay, confirm the operation there. Okay, so we have our datum planes that we can now place sketches on, and the sketches we'll use are within the Gems and Settings tab, our prongs command. We haven't seen this before. If we left click on this, it will bring up all of the prong sketches. Okay, we can view these in the carousel or the grid view. Okay, so we have these different sketches for prongs that we would then just sweep along our curves to create the prong. In this case, I want to create a split prong. So I'm going to use this one, left click to pick the split prong, and I'll place it on the datum plane for the emerald cut gemstone. Confirm the operation. Okay, so there's our sketch. I'm going to change my entity filter onto sketch and come into the sketch environment so that I can modify the parameters. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is increase the diameter of the top of my prongs to 1 millimeter. Double click. Okay, and now the next thing I need to do is increase the separation to account for the increase in diameter. Okay, so 1 millimeter, that's the diameter, 2 times the radius. Confirm. Okay, and the final thing I want to do is modify the offset from the origin. Okay, as it is now, if we were to sweep our sketch along the curve, our prongs would be intersecting the gemstone massively. Okay, we don't want this much material within the gemstone, so we need to drop it in the other direction, and 0.25, negative 0.25, that will do for now. Okay, we'll exit back out into the part level. Okay, so there is our prong sketch. I'm now going to sweep the sketch along the curve. Come to the shape ribbon tab, sweep. Our profile is the sketch, our path is the curve. Okay, so there are our prongs. Create them as a base. Okay, I don't need these fields. The transform, I'm going to add a linear scale to add a taper to our prongs. Okay, so half scale of 0.5 means that the bottom prong diameter is half that at the top, which is half of a millimeter. Okay, and I want to have my end caps at both ends, and I do not need to keep the curves. So here is the prong. Okay, and we can just mirror this to the other sides. Now let's repeat for our triangle cut prong. Gem settings, prongs. I'm going to pick a different prong sketch. I'm going to use the V cut. Okay, place that on the datum plane. Confirm. Double click to enter into it. Okay, I'm going to want to change some parameters here so that we can align our prong with the shape of the gemstone better. I'll drop down this angle. Okay, I'm not going to go further than 40 because we're losing our V shape up here. If we go any further, we lose the shape. Maybe I'll take my width down slightly to 0.4. Okay, we don't have the offset parameter here, so I'll just perform a move back in the 3D environment. Let's exit back out into a part. So now let's move our sketch out a bit. Pick the sketch. I'm going to move along a direction. The direction will be the datum axis, the y-axis, and we'll bring it out. Let's say negative 0.25. And we'll confirm the operation. Then we'll sweep the sketch along the curve with the linear scale. Confirm. Let's mirror these prong shapes around the emerald cut stone. So we're mirroring across the side plane first, middle click to mirror again, picking them all across the front plane. Okay, we will come in, create another prong at this corner and this corner of our triangle cut stone. Okay, so we could, for these prongs we mirrored them across. Okay, we can't mirror this prong to the other sides. Well, we can, but we would need to insert some datums. We can try and perform a rotate, a copy rotate of our prong. Okay, about, if we change the wireframe, about this axis of the datum plane that we placed our gemstone on. Okay, we would want to perform a 1/3 turn, about 120. Okay, so we could get our prong in like this, but as you can see, its orientation is a bit off and not in keeping with the rest of the design. Ideally, I would like a prong that is in line with our prongs here, since it will be next to them. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to cancel out of the copy. I will create a line along the edge of one of these prongs, and to do that I'll come to my wireframe tab and use the intersection curve command. I'll pick faces. Okay, the face of this prong, and then the face here where it intersects, we'll have a line drawn. Let's make it a bright green. Confirm. Let's blank out this prong. Okay, here is a line that has the orientation of that prong. Okay, and we'll be using this to create the curve with which we sweep along. So let's trim extend it. We are extend it up 2 mm, oh, just 1.5 millimeters is fine, that end. And the other end, let's bring it just below into the ring finger. Okay, now we'll insert our datum again at the top here. Okay, we've got to change the orientation. Let's flip over the Y. Okay, and then I'm going to play around with the Z orientation to bring the Y in line to where I want it. Okay, and that seems decent. Let me just redefine, and let me change the format just to keep it tidy. Confirm. Okay, so now we can come in with our prong sketches again. Okay, we could start off, or we can use any that we want, because I'll show you a nice trick to use. Let's just say we pick this trillion shape. confirm. We'll come and sweep it again. Okay, and we'll have the same taper. And we're going to keep the curves this time. Okay, so if we're not happy with the shape of this prong, we can replace the prong sketch by coming into the prongs command again, just picking a different one. We can even just use this to find the one that looks best. I'm going to use a round. So instead of placing it on a point this time, we can replace a sketch. And this is going to replace the sketch in the history and update the rest of the history with our new sketch. Confirm. And there you see we have our new prong with the round prong sketch. Okay, so let's bring back our other prong. Well, in fact, I'm going to change the dimensions of this prong first. Let's show our dimensions. I want to decrease the top width of this prong 0.75. Okay, let's bring back that other prong. We'll just unblank all. Okay, now we should move this prong into a better position. Shape, move, pick the shape. Okay, I'm going to perform a dynamic move. First of all, I want to move the handle because it is within here and the orientation looks a bit off, so I'm going to check the move handle only option, left click in the position field, and I want to place the position of the handle at the top here. Okay, now let's play with the orientation just to get it all lined up. Just being approximate with it. Then we can deselect the move handle only option and we can begin moving the shape. I'm going to move it towards the gemstone a bit. Okay, that might do it for now. You can always tweak it later on. Okay, now I will mirror this across to the other side. There we go, our prong is now aligned with these other emerald prongs. Okay, I'm thinking maybe this wire setting is tapered a bit too much. I would like this part to come out to the prong slightly more than it is. So I'm going to come back in the history where we brought in our wire setting. Use this one here. I'm going to right click, redefine. Okay, this is the bezel angle. I'm going to drop it down to 6. Confirm. The rest of history is replayed. I don't want the tweak tool. Okay, and you've seen how this brought the wire setting out a bit. Okay, so now I'll create the ring shank. Okay, to create the ring shank I'll use the usual method. We'll bring in some ring shank sketches and then perform a drive curve loft. So the first ring shank sketch I would like to be within this setting a little bit. Okay, so we have the ring shank coming into the setting. Okay, so this is the datum plane I want to put it on. So let's move the angle, move the datum into the wire setting. So let's change my entity filter to dimension. Okay, if you can't see the dimensions of your template, just find the sketch, right click dimension to show them, or just use this dimension toggle. Okay, but that will toggle the dimensions for the entire part. Okay, so let's increase this. Okay, 53. That will probably be fine. Now the datum plane is within our setting there. Go into the Gems and Settings tab, in the Design Sketches ring tab, pick the ring shanks. We're going to keep it simple, we'll use the square ring shank. Place it at 3 points. First of all, on this datum plane we just moved. We then want one on our 3 o'clock datum and our 6 o'clock datum plane. Confirm. Okay, let's play around with our dimensions now. I'm going to drop the height down of this end just a little bit. 2.5. I'm going to delay the solve as well. The width, I'm going to make it quite narrow here. Let's say 1.25. And then I'll have it open up wider at this ring shank sketch. Let's say 2.5 in width. But I'll bring the height down to a 2. Okay, and then we come to our last ring shank sketch. The height, I'll drop it down to a 1.5, and the width, I'll keep it at a 2.5. Take the delay solve off. Let's see the update. Okay, so they are our ring shanks sketches. This one doesn't look quite right. Let's double click to enter it and see what's going on. Okay, so I'm not sure why that's disconnected like that, but things like this will happen. So we can just correct this by dragging the points down. Let's add our constraints back in. Go into constraints. We want to use the point coincident constraint. Let's constrain this point to this point. Middle click, this point to this point. Okay, and that looks how it should be now. Okay, now we can turn off the dimensions here. Let's mirror our ring shank sketches. Only these two actually, we only need those two, we mirror them across to the other side. Okay, now we need to insert a curve for our drive curve loft to loft about. Wireframe, we'll use the arc. I want to snap into here, so let's change my entity filter onto datum. Snapping to that datum. First point. Second point, I want it to be the datum in here. Yep, snapped in. And the 3 point is at the 6 o'clock datum. Let's make it a pink color. Confirm. Okay, so there's our arc. Let's just hide our template sketch so you can see more clearly. Shape, drive curve loft, pick the driving curve, and then the profiles are our ring shank sketches. Picking them at the same point. Okay, keep curves. No, we don't need the curves, but we'll have the end caps. Confirm. Okay, so here's our ring shank. Okay, I'm now going to trim the shank to an extruded edge. I'm going to extrude this edge of the prong in the Y direction. Let's do a symmetrical extrusion. Just enough to trim out the ring shank. Confirm. Let's mirror it across to the opposite side. Okay, you can mirror it as a shape or a face. And now we will trim. Trim our ring shank's shape to these two faces. You can see that the arrow is pointing in the wrong direction, so we'll flip the sides. Keep, we want to cap the trimmed region, and we don't want to keep our trimming shapes. Confirm. Okay, the last thing I'll do for the ring shank is add a fillet at the ends here. So let's say bring it down to 0.1, we can increase it. Okay, there's the fillet. I'll confirm there. Okay, now I'm going to trim out to the ring finger my settings. So I'll bring back the template sketch, the template. I'm going to extrude, remove, okay, extrude cut, the curve list, the template curve list, symmetrically. Okay, and you can see the preview of the cut, that's good, confirm. Okay, now I want to delete the middle sections of my settings. Okay, and we actually have a problem here. I'll delete them. Okay, here's the issue. We don't have enough space on our lower part of the wire setting. Okay, so I'm going to have to increase that. Okay, the way I can do this is let's come back prior to the extrude cut. In fact, I'm going to undo that erase, come back prior to the extrude cut, where we still have the entirety of our lower half. I'm going to erase these parts first, and then I will face offset this top face so it's above the ring finger. Okay, confirm there, replay the cut. Okay, now we have the rest, enough of the shape. Okay, now I'm also going to face offset again. I'm going to reduce this back a bit, just so it's more in line with this part of the emerald cut setting. Okay, so negative 0.25. Confirm the operation. Okay, now I'm going to be coming in with a plate at the bottom here that I'm going to create some pierce work on. Okay, first of all, I think I also want to face offset this slightly, these sides, increase them, just so we have a bit more material here at our join, and also make it will look better if it comes up to that prong. Maybe 0.2. Okay, so let's confirm that. We'll now mirror our triangle cut settings to the opposite side. Save. Okay, so to create a plate at the bottom here, I need to create one complete surface. I'm going to combine, add these three bottom parts to create one shape, so we have one complete face here. Let's blank out this shape, the ring shank shape. Okay, I'll now extrude Okay, I seem to have lost my curve list. I'll just extrude the sketch. As a base, and I do not want the end caps to keep the profile. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is use the edges of this face to trim our cylinder to, so that we're left only with one complete face. Okay, so we use in the freeform tab trim to curves. So let's pick the face first, then pick the curves. Okay, the curves being edges. Okay, so we're picking these outside edges. Okay, make sure you get them all to create a complete closed loop, otherwise it won't work. Okay, I picked the wrong one. Right click, unpick last. Okay, so I think that should do it. Now I'll specify the face to keep. This part. Confirm. Okay, now we can erase this shape, and we're left only with that face that we trimmed to. Let's save. Okay, now what I probably should point out actually is if we were to have extruded with that curve list, we may have got a seam line. So let's see if I can recreate that. Okay, so we have our curve list here. I'm just tracking down where it disappears. Okay, it was that extrude. I must not have kept the curves. I want to keep profile to keep that curve list. Okay, so let's come back down to our extrude again, and we'll change, instead of picking the sketch, I'm going to pick the curve list, keep everything else the same. Okay, but you can see here we have a seam line. Okay, and obviously this creates two halves. Okay, we can pick them both. But we don't want this seam line in our face because it will throw us off. Okay, so what we have to do is, prior to the trim, simply need to rotate, do a move rotate of this shape about the y-axis. Okay, it doesn't matter how much, just so long as our seam line is outside of this shape here. Now we can edit the trim again. Make sure we're picking the right point. Confirm, and now we don't have that seam line. Now we can play the arrays. Okay, so that's if you were to have extruded the curve list, you may find you have a seam line that you need to be aware of and move if need be. Okay, so here is our plate. Okay, we could shell this to create the plate and be done with it. In this case I want to create piercework in here for this undercarriage. Okay, so the way I do this, we've seen before, I like to unfold this face to a plane. Okay, let's say default plane is good. Confirm. Okay, so I'm going to create the piercework on this plane and then refold it. Okay, we've seen this before. The way I do this, I insert a sketch. Right click, I'm going to reference. My unfolded face. Okay, I didn't want to reference that one, but I'll just erase it later. Okay, I'm picking not very carefully here. Show target. Let's delete these ones I picked by mistake. Okay, so here is the outline of our unfolded feature. I'm going to come into the sketch and I will offset all of these curves. I did a chain pick there. Okay, the distance, I want to offset them inside. Okay, negative let's say 0.5 millimeter, just create a border. Okay, we get some weird offset at negative 0.5, so let's just leave it at negative 0.4. Confirm. I'm going to erase. In fact, I'll leave it in there. Let's just check out that curve is good. Okay, now we can come in with our pattern that we want to extrude cut to create our pierce work. First of all, I'm going to create two 2-point lines that I can use as references. Okay, now I'll show you something actually. Before I create this, I want to create those 2-point lines as construction geometry. So I can come in and toggle construction geometry. Okay, so now anything I draw will come in as construction geometry, like so. Okay, I want another 2-point line from the middle down to the corresponding side. Okay, I can turn my construction geometry off. Pattern, I'm just going to create a quick pattern. I'll come in with a rectangle to 0.75. Use this first method, the first point. I'm just going to have it like that. In fact, I'm going to drop this down 0.6. Okay, confirm. Okay, I forgot to toggle off the construction geometry, so I'm going to undo, turn off the construction geometry, rectangle, 0.6 by 0.6. I will rotate this rectangle about the center point, 45 degrees. Okay, now I'm going to copy this shape, chain pick from this point. Let's bring it out. Okay, I want to ensure I have enough material when it comes to the pierce work. Okay, we generally don't like to have things below less than 0.3 or 0.25 of a millimeter in thickness, otherwise it may be difficult to manufacture and it will also be weak. So let's ensure we have enough material. We can just approximate it by seeing that our point, we have our starting point here. If we're looking at the coordinates, our starting x point is 6.74, and we want at least 0.3 on there, or 0.25. We need to move it out to 7. Let's move it out to say 7.1. Okay, so about there. Let's increase the number of copies. Confirm. Now we'll copy again. I'm holding down the shift key to pick the entire chain there. From point, from here. Okay, and we're going to use our snaps to get it lined up like so. Confirm, middle click, copy again. Okay, we just need to copy enough to cover all of this shape here. Confirm. Now let's mirror to fill up the rest of the space. Okay, we can see it's getting a bit dense here with all these dimensions. We can toggle off our dimensions, and we can toggle off our constraints. Okay, to clean it up a bit. Go to mirror now. These entities. Cross this line. toggle off our constraints again, and we'll mirror again down to the bottom. Okay, now we can come in and use our trimming tool, our curve boolean tool, geometry, intersect regions. We pick this one first of all. Okay, you try to use the shift pick to chain pick, but it's picked this curve as well, we don't want that. Okay, our second region is just window pick everything. Confirm and see how it goes. Okay, and that looks like it has done a good job. Okay, this is an issue here. Let's turn on our open ends to display the open ends. These we do not want to see. We do not want to see these open ends. Okay, so we can come in. I'm just going to delete this. Come back in with a construction geometry line. Down the center, and I'm going to mirror this one that completed on the opposite side. We can delete that line now. Okay, so this looks good. The rest seems clean. Exit back out into our part level. Now we need to extrude. Let's first of all extrude our unfolded shape. So we're going to pick it as a curve list, where we're going to have to insert a curve list. Right click, insert curve list, hold down the shift key to chain pick, confirm, extrude. Let's give this a 0.75. One-sided extrude. Okay, something is not working out here. Something must be off. I'll cancel. Let's just blank out this sketch. Okay, I can't see anything immediately wrong with this curve. Seems like we have one complete curve list. Extrude the curve list. Just not liking it for some reason, so I'm going to try and create a face first of all. Freeform. Let's use the FEM patch. Pick the curve list. Okay, make sure we keep our curves. Confirm. Okay, the face seems to be coming in fine. Let's try extruding the face. Okay, and that seems like it should work. Let's extrude it 0.75 as a base. We want the end caps. Okay, we may have to make it a negative, so we ensure it folds up the right way. Confirm. Okay, now we will extrude the sketch symmetrically 1mm as a remove. Don't need to keep the profile. Okay, so we've got some pretty odd behavior here. What I would do is close the program down and delete the session folder and the percentage app data. That may solve the issue. I'm just going to continue. I'm just going to delete this extra shape. Not sure why it was added in. And now we can refold this piercework. wrap two faces by refolding and unfold feature. Pick the geometry, the source. There we see the preview. Looks good. Confirm. There is our piecework. We can erase that face and these curves. Let's unblank our ring shank. We'll hide our JCD template. Let's erase this sketch as well. Okay, and we're just about there now. We can tidy up this piece now. I'm going to first of all tidy up the prongs. Okay, for a piece that we would manufacture, we'd want to leave a lot of extra material at the top of the prongs. Probably not this much, but we would like to leave some more for rendering. We can drop these right down. In fact, first of all, I'll raise the gemstones up a bit. Move components. I'm just going to raise it up a bit away from the setting. This will improve on our render. Okay, let's say about 0.3 middle click. Let's raise up these triangle stones. Okay, let's blank out these stones. I do need to add in a chamfer actually for the settings. Blank. Okay, going with the chamfer. Let's set it to be something more reasonable first of all. Pick these edges. Maybe even increase that a bit more than that. Confirm. Right click. Unblank all. Let's perform a face offset for these prongs. And then we'll add fillets to round off the tops. So we'll offset them first. Okay, this is for rendering, so we're bringing them right down. Middle click, we'll do these ones. Yeah, that's probably decent there. Middle click again for our V-cut prongs. Okay, let's add those fillets in. We have, let's say 0.25. Okay, I'll increase that fillet a bit more. Confirm, middle click, add a fillet in here, decrease the fillet amount first. Confirm there. Okay, for this V-cut prong I'm going to chamfer. Let's first of all chamfer the inside, let's say 0.1. Adding the bright cut in there, middle click, and we'll chamfer the outside as well. Save. Okay, let's change the color. In fact, something I like to do is if we come into our visual manager, we can hide our datums and our global axis. We can hide the local display. Right click, this hides the datums. Toggle local datum display. You can also hide the triad display. Right click, toggle triad. Now it can be quite nice to add these two commands to our document aware toolbar, the toggle local datum and the toggle triad. So right click, customize, transfer, document aware toolbar at the top. Let's search for these commands. Toggle local datum display. Toggle triad display. Apply. Okay, now we can quickly toggle on and off our triads and our datums. Okay, we have a few curves in here that we can get rid of. Curve, erase, and erase the sketch. Okay, let's now change the color. Shape, we're going to window pick it all. Right click, face attributes, go into the color, custom. Okay, I've set up a white gold here. Okay, you can use the parameters here to create the same white gold. Okay, it's 221 in the red, 228 green, blue 230. Okay, so we can create this manually. 221, 228, 230. Okay, and that's thereabouts white gold. You can come in and tweak it how you want. Shine, gloss. Let's save again. Okay, I'm going to add in another fillet, both for rendering and maybe for comfort fit purposes. So I'll add in fillet in here. 0.2 is good. Middle click, and up here. Slightly less. Okay, so we'll save. Export and rendering. Live rendering studio. Confirm to place it. Okay, and we'll just use the free live renderer.